Everything's so dark. I'm gonna call this WIR, WIR, Weekend Review, and let's talk about it. So, don't worry, I have on it. Of course, I just got out of the shower. I have a sweater that I'm gonna put on that covers up. I didn't expect this dress to have that much skin showing, but it's okay. So I don't know where to start. Okay. So the last time that I left off with you guys, let's talk about jobs. The last time I left off with you guys, I told you that I was working on some tennis shoes I had in the back room somewhere. And man. And so the next morning, I got up like 4. I had put, the clothes I was going to wear in the wash the night before. I didn't take them out, so I got up at 4 to put them in the dryer. Still dozy because I'm not sleeping well at night because of mosquito bites and all kinds of things. So the next morning I get up, put on my sneakers, my stretchy jeans because they're comfortable and they're semi-appropriate, and my little tank top, and I had a little baggie with a polo shirt in it and a dress shirt just in case, right? And so I'm walking, enjoying myself, and I'm noticing that I'm like, that I'm probably is going to be 10 minutes short, right? And the night before, and the way that it was done was real last minute, okay? So what ends up happening is the day before, like around like quarter to 10 in the morning, they sent me, yeah, you've been selected, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, just some fast money. You're going to get paid almost daily. So I'm not even going to sweat it, right? I need the money, right? And it's, basically doing third party services for a well known company. So I'm like, okay, fine, no problem, right? But these people, I think they just get up people. Ah, there's a mosquito or something. They just get up people to, put together shit. I've done this before, typical homeless job. So, yeah. So the next morning, I rush down there to get there at 7 a.m. About 10 minutes to 7, I'm thinking I'm going to check, my messages and look and stuff because I'm like right there, and different things, happen. I see, other people. I'm thinking there's a lot of people that are probably at the last minute running to get these places to do these things. And I'm like, wow, this is how Valdosta people live. Valdosta's really poor. At the last minute you scramble, get whatever job you get, go. And so I'm like, no problem. So as I'm walking, at breakneck speeds, I'm thinking, for me, I'm thinking, okay, these people are probably, some of these people are probably going to the same place, you know, getting a day job or whatever. To me, it's the equivalent of those day labor things, but it's not because you've already supposedly got a job, whatever. So, as I'm going down there, I noticed some guy in a truck slow down. And okay, not, but also you can't be naive. These people out here are, some of these people are vultures, okay? Um, and I know in my mind I was thinking, boy, I really could, you know, um, use that lift, a little bit closer. But then I'm just like, no, because if this person tries to be crazy, it's gonna really put me out my way. So, I keep going. And then when I check my text messages, I see that someone is saying that, and this text message, okay, let me give you a timeline of everything. The offer came at like probably 9:48 a.m. the previous day to get started the next day, right? I didn't see the message because I'm thinking there's no way in hell those types of people are going to select me because that's not what I typically do. But if you just need a body to fill a slot, then I guess it doesn't matter, right? So what ends up happening is that I check my messages and my emails about 5 or so, and I see the emails in there, but I'm like, whatever, it'll probably be a couple days. I'll address it the next day. But then as I look later on at night, like 9 something, I see that it's saying, hey, you got to start tomorrow. I'm like, okay, had I not needed a job, that would have been, like, no. But I did. So I responded back and let them know, hey, thanks. There were people, let me tell you how desperate the situations were. There were people, whoever sent out that email sent it to everybody at once, which I think was probably like only 5 people. All those of those 5 people, somebody responded all and was just like, I accept the offer. People really are looking for jobs, like really, right? And and these are local people because it's in Valdosta, right? So I think a lot of people got disappointed that day. Then what ends up happening, I'm going through all the process. Y'all knew I went outside, try to find shoes, all this, that, got some shoes. By the time I got back in, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock or so, I had sent some more messages letting them know, hey, because they didn't give a dress code or anything, telling them how I was going to show up. In case if there is an issue, they'll let me know right away. Next thing I know, um, like I said, the next day comes along, I go about to go to um, to the place on foot, because that's the norm for me. And in the process of doing that, like I said, I check my messages, and this is weird things happen in the middle of it. Like, I'm walking past coincidentally where like the social services place is at the same time. There's a big black guy and his big black wife or girlfriend, right? And so hot. So in the process of that, you know, I wasn't paying him any attention, but I happened to look up. And when I look up, the guy was looking at me, and the woman was aware of me. Women are a little more discreet. She's like, she was looking, but probably had turned her head. But he's looking like, you know, and I'm wondering, and that's not really the look. I can't mock it. He was just looking. It wasn't necessarily any shock or surprise. He was just looking, like he was looking. I don't know what he was looking at, I don't know what he's looking at. But I saw him. Part of me wanted to ask, like, what's the deal? But I didn't have time for that. You know, I just had when I checked my text messages. Here it is. Text message came through at 1:50 a.m. that says, "Oh, we're gonna cancel until August." What? You knew that before 1:50 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, fine. You know, that of course is bogus. I'm glad that I didn't get involved because then it would be the thing of me trying to collect pay and all this. And I'm just like, okay, good, good, no problem. So I'm like, fine, I'll make my way over to the social services office to see, and I'm super early, but it's okay. I'll look for jobs on my phone while I'm waiting, right? They don't open until I think like 8:30. I was there like 7, right? And so I sit on the steps. There's steps that people sit on that are out there because, of course, two-wheeler chairs are not out there. As I'm sitting there, this big black SUV pulls up, and all I see is a hand waving in the window. And at first, the obedient spirit that I am, I was gonna get up and see what's going on. But then I was like, no, I don't even know who that person is. I'm not getting up. So it turns out that place is like, it's just so much weirdness, you guys. But let me cut through all of that. So basically, the job didn't happen. Then on top of that, there was another job, and the social services didn't happen. If they can, they'll get you stuck there all day long for no reason. They'll have you sit there all day, all day. And the thing was like, oh, if I even remember who you are, if I have a job working somewhere and I have clients that are listed and there are clients I need to follow up with, I make a list. So, it may be part, like I said, I don't know how the world operates these days. And the person that does the social services is excellent, by the way. So I'm thinking that's just a norm that they set in place that she just follows. Because I think any logical person, if you're following up with a client or something, you list their names of all the people that you follow up on. It's not hard. So if you're not doing it, you're not doing it because somebody set that precedence, and that's the precedence that's been set in that job, and that's how you're going to continue to do it because you got to keep your job. But anyhow, so I'm like, okay, fine. So basically that ends up just being a follow up. Um, then I had a job from way back when, before the COVID job came, and I was telling you that I think they operate on the same thing. And then it took a long time for them to even reach out to me about, secondary And the reason I'm courting is I think I'm going to become an an unrequested public figure. I'm going to start just, like I said, I hand out the AOG, the Art of Good Things, but also, there are people that halfway care. There really are, and or people that may be interested in knowing, or maybe they're not interested in knowing. Maybe they just made an investment, and really that's it. They felt like they just did their good deed and call it a day. But I'm going to start also guiding them to inviting them. They can Google me or whatever they want and whatever information they get, because it's too much to tell. Because the reason that I wanted to record this is because um, there was somebody that invested, right? And even though from worldly standards it's not a huge investment, it's still an investment. You invested your time, your thought, your energy, and whatever else for that little bit of time. And I want them to know that it just didn't work out. I was a good custodian of the time and whatever they offered, but it just didn't work out, right? Because that happened with that job. Then there was another job, whatever. And I was concerned because some of the testing I did was with a Bluetooth device. I didn't know if it messed things up. So I did see that there was an opportunity for me to do it again. I did it again. They reached out to me and we scheduled pretty much an offer for this Monday coming up, right? And even though that quote unquote offer was scheduled for this Monday coming up, when because I always respond back to all emails in detail with whatever they said, addressing everything, acknowledging it, so that we were all on the same page. And then this person, after all of this time, then says, "Oh, I see," and he didn't take responsibility, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to get it. Maybe I'll never get a job again, but he didn't take responsibility. What he says, "Ooh, this car says Dios nunca falla, God never fails," but or is it fire? I don't know, falla, fire. But so he didn't take responsibility. But what he did say was, because basically there's a schedule. You know how they do the scheduling of meetings and the interviews and appointments on Calendly or something similar to that, right? So the appointment date, this was scheduled over a week ago, was for the 17th, right? Which would have been Monday, right? And so when I scheduled that appointment, it was all good. It also sends him a verification that the appointment has been scheduled for whatever date and time, right? But in his communication to me, he kept saying, he was scheduling a follow up after all of my interviews. I only had one. A follow up after all of my interviews, um, with some additional questions for clarification and whatever. And I'm excited to hear about the questions for clarification, because obviously something weird is going on that I don't know about, because, the last situation, and people are not telling me. I need to know what's going on. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And basically, I think at that point, they're probably going to try to ease the COVID thing on you, is what's going to happen. And they may actually have some questions about my stuff, and I want to know what they have to ask, because I want to answer it. But so, anyways, I respond back and I said, thank you. I'm excited about the opportunity to, answer any additional questions. I just have to, make sure that you're aware that I've only had one interview session, but I'll be happy to answer anything that you have on X date at X time, per the scheduling. And when all that happened, I get a response back later, because I'm not stuck to my email, because actually I don't have really that much hope anymore. So I'm not really like in the email like all that, because it's just a bunch of buggery. But so yeah, so with that, he responds and says, "Oh, I see that my scheduled you for the 17th on the week that I'm out on vacation." He got this alert a week ago, and the schedule didn't schedule that. He put in his availability, or whoever's doing his availability for him put in his availability, and that's what was shown as part of his availability, right? So, I didn't answer back, but I'm thinking, that's a red flag. You don't take accountability. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I must have missed that." No, he didn't say he missed it. He blamed it on the calendar scheduling. It's only based on what you put in there, sir. So now he's saying he's gonna want us to push it out to the 24th, which is next Monday. Which if I don't have any choice, I don't have any choice. But I didn't respond back to that because you took all my time and energy with me. And when I respond to those emails, I respond personally. Like I address like every little thing. So all of this seems bogus to me. I don't know like if God has some kind of higher plan or I don't know what the deal is, but nothing's working out as far as work. Okay. Even from the littlest things. I've applied, you wouldn't believe the types of jobs. Well, maybe you would believe, but I don't believe it because it's been so long since I even applied to those types of jobs. I mean, like absolutely nothing is working out. So I hope this truck don't try to hit me. But absolutely nothing is working out. So yeah. All right. So we're about to get dressed. We'll talk about this later, but that's the reason I'm recording this because all those times and resources was used. Let me get out of here.